You are watching a master at work.
What's happening, people? It's Steve Merkel here, or Merk for short. Hope y'all are having a wonderful day so far. Today's video is going to be episode 5 of Road to the Dark Below DLC, which comes out in a couple days on December 9th. It'll probably be a little bit longer video on the longer side, and it's going to be covering a bunch of new info that we just got, so let's jump into it. The first thing we're going to go over is how to get your current exotics to the attack and defense level of the DLC exotics. This is a brand new mechanic and it is kind of confusing, so bear with me. So after December 9th, when Xur comes to the tower on the weekends, he will bring 6 non-DLC exotic weapons and 6 non-DLC exotic armors. Now, for example, say one of the items Xur brings is the Gjallarhorn exotic rocket launcher. If you currently have the Gjallarhorn fully upgraded, you can trade in your Gjallarhorn for Xur's Gjallarhorn for the price of 7,000 Glimmer and 1 exotic shard. When you make this trade, the Gjallarhorn you obtain in the trade will be able to be upgraded to the attack level of the current DLC exotics. However, your progression will be reset completely. So you will have to get the 250,000 experience points it takes to fully upgrade a Gjallarhorn all over again. In my opinion, this is total BS. It's just busy work from Bungie to have us grind more and more. I understand where they're coming from. You know, instead of making the current non-DLC exotics obsolete, they want to give us a way to make them viable, right? With the new DLC and new missions, new raids, stuff like that. But this is like just a bit too much, in my opinion. Unless these trade-in exotics are able to be leveled up way faster or need way less XP to level all the way up, I don't like this at all. Granted, upgrading will be way easier now that we can buy destination materials, and exotics aren't going to require ascendant materials, but I still don't like it one bit. Speaking of ascendant materials, let's move on to the legendary weapons and armor that factions will be selling after December 9th. So, once the Dark Below releases, all the Vanguard, Crucible, and other faction legendary weapons and armor will be reset and replaced with other legendaries that we've never seen before. These weapons and armor will be available to all Guardians, not just the ones who purchased the Dark Below. Also, leveling up your faction will still take place, but it will work a little different. Instead of the Postmaster giving you a package that contains a possibility for a random gun or weapon, you will simply get what acts like a faction token to spend on any weapon or armor that you want. This way you can choose. Now, of course, you will only get these tokens after rank 3 just like before, and it's possible that you might get multiples at a time, and it's also possible that it will take more than one token to buy specific weapons and armor, but right now that is unclear. Only thing for sure is that you will obtain a token with every rank made after 3. A big worry for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of other Guardians out there, was that Ascendant Energy and Shards would be obsolete, especially when it was leaked that exotics will no longer take these to be upgraded, but rather 1 exotic shard for that last upgrade node only. Well, ease your mind, ladies and gentlemen, because they are far from worthless. Ascendant Energy and Shards will be used to upgrade DLC legendaries and non-DLC legendaries, so that is freaking awesome. Only exotics will no longer require Ascendant Energy and Shards to be upgraded. You know, they won't only require that 1 exotic shard for the last node, like I said. It is also rumored that Eris Morn will facilitate trading Ascendant Energy for shards or vice versa. So if you have a lot of shards, you can trade 1 for energy at her station in the tower. Now let's talk about the raid. There is a lot of news that was recently released on the raid and its mechanics. It is confirmed by Bungie that the normal raid will be released December 9th, immediately when the Dark Below download is complete and playable. However, I do have a feeling that you will have to do a couple story missions first to soak in the lore, you know, all that stuff, the lore. You might have to gather a couple materials, string a couple things together, and then the raid will be available. But we should all be playing it on December 9th because the missions won't take that long. But it is also confirmed that the hard raid will not be available until sometime in January, which I assume will be early January. I can't imagine them making us wait that long. I think Bungie is doing this to give us some time to level up our characters with the normal raid gear, because it is suspected that the hard raid raid will be level 33, which will be pretty intense because the new level cap is only 32. Also, you don't have to be level 30 to play the new normal raid, but a level 30 has to be the fire team leader. For any raid group on a normal raid, a level 30 has to be the fire team leader, or I don't think 29 fire team leads can get in. Bungie also made changes to how raid loot drops and how it is upgraded. Raid weapons and armor will now take radiant energy and radiant shards to be fully upgraded. How many for each upgrade node is not certain, but my guess is it'll be similar to ascendant energy and shards for normal legendaries. You can obtain radiant shards and energy by playing the raid and breaking down other raid gear. They also made the following changes. Raid loot and Crota's Inn will drop at a higher rate. New raid gear will contain a wider variety of potential perks. I like that a lot. Weapons and gear from Crota's Inn will not require ascendant materials for upgrades. This is what I was talking about. Radiant shards and radiant energy acquired in the raid will be used to upgrade new raid gear. Unwanted weapons and gear from Crota's Inn will dismantle into radiant materials. Primary weapons will only drop in the harder version of Crota's Inn released sometime in January. And we get a look at one of the debuffs in the raid, which is Weight of Darkness, and you can tell in the picture it has times 10 after it, which means this debuff will just keep stacking and stacking. It sounds like this will cause you to move slower and slower and slower over time, which could be very tricky to overcome against high level thralls. Along with all the new raid info, we also get some general PvE info and new mechanics. The Nightfall and Heroic Strikes will be raised 2 levels, so the Nightfall will now be a level 30, once the Dark Below is released of course, and the Heroic will be 26, 28, and 30. And I'm pretty positive the Tiger Strike playlist will now get at least one more higher level strike in rotation, and I would assume the Daily Heroic Challenge will also be upped with these as well. Also, we have what looks like a couple new modifiers that can be applied to these challenges. First, we have the Dark Burden, which eliminates the ability to use your vertical movement mode, and damaging energy circles on the ground, forcing careful movement through the mission. I'm all for the new modifiers for these things to make them more challenging and rewarding, so this is awesome. The Dark Burden sounds like you just can't jump, and the damaging energy circles just sound like they're laid out along the ground, throughout the mission, and you just have to navigate around them. Finally, we get a little PvP news. We now know the Crucible playlist will be changing every week. There will most likely be hardcore game modes that include no super or radar, as well as possible no grenades. These game modes could range from 1v1 to 2v2, all the way up to 12v12 possibly. And fingers crossed for their ability to do a private match, similar to the way it works in Call of Duty, where you can tweak all the settings, etc. That wraps up today's video. Please let me know in the comment section if you are planning on buying the Dark Below expansion pack. I'd like to get a feel for where everyone stands with these new changes. I'm definitely excited for the raid, but some of this stuff has me a little worried. Luckily, I've already bought it and I can't change my mind. And I'll definitely be bringing all kinds of videos on the new mechanics and the raid, etc. once the DLC launches, so be sure to stay tuned for that. Please leave a like if you enjoyed today's video and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Feel free to ask any questions and let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Later, daters.